McCarthyism. What was McCarthyism, and who was Joe McCarthy? Well, we're gonna have to take this back to the olden days. We're going back into the past, you feel me? So, McCarthyism. McCarthyism was a time period during the early 1950s where the U.S. Senator Joseph R. McCarthy would produce a series of investigations and trials in an effort to expose people or areas of the government that was supposedly infiltrated by communism. Joseph McCarthy was senator for the state of Wisconsin during the time period of 1947 to 1957 when he died. McCarthyism was also known as the Second Red Scare, which was a time period where the United States was severely scared of communism. And this was around the start of the Cold War, which was kind of like a battle, you should say, of threats between the United States and the USSR, also known as the Soviet Union. So, you're probably wondering, okay, how does this, what's the point of this? Well, you see, the book, The Crucible, which we are reading, ties into this in a sense, as Arthur Miller, the author of this book, had wrote The Crucible as sort of like a subtle play, or subtle commentary, you should say, on McCarthyism and all the stuff that was going on. Okay, then, well, so how is Arthur Miller connected to McCarthyism? Well, in 1953, back in the day, Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible, like I just stated, which depicted the persecution of people during the Salem witch trials in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. God damn. The play was more like a subtle reference on Miller's disliking of the communist witch hunts during the 1950s that was started by, of course, Joseph McCarthy, which that's what McCarthyism was. It was basically just witch hunts for communists instead of, innocent people, which it was still innocent people, but they thought they were communists because people back in the day were dumb. Anyways, this also relates to Arthur Miller in a sense, because actually 3 years later after he wrote the book, he got subpoenaed by the House Un-American Activities Committee for apparently being a communist sympathizer, which I don't know how or why, but, that was back in the day. That's unk activities right there, dare I say. So how did McCarthyism change the American lifestyle? Well, McCarthyism changed the American lifestyle because it basically just ruined the innocent lives of people, because Joseph McCarthy was, well, let's just say a little bitch. There was just a bunch of trials and investigations conducted on people, really just based on rumors and just random evidence accusing them of being communists or communist sympathizers. And this ended up actually ruining a lot of people's lives. They got blacklisted from jobs. So basically, they couldn't go to work. They couldn't even go certain places. Basically, ruining their entire lives. So they were kind of cooked. Not even kind of, they were straight up cooked. Boiled, baked, fried. There was also a lot of propaganda towards communism at the time, which, again, took place from like late 1940s after World War II up until the 1990s when the fall of the Soviet Union occurred. So yeah, what were his aims or his methods, and who were his victims? So who were the victims of Joseph R. McCarthy? Well, McCarthy aimed most of the time towards political opponents, which were those being left-wing Democrats, because Joseph R. McCarthy was a Republican. So basically his ops. He went against his ops. So his methods of persecuting those people were, of course, performing investigations and trials on those people. Those people were, well, his victims were government employees, prominent figures in the entertainment industry, well-known academic individuals, left-wing politicians, and labor union activists. So, now that's out the way. What is the HUAC and blacklisting? And who are some of the people on the Hollywood blacklist? So, the HUAC, or the House Un-American Activities Committee, is a committee used to investigate and persecute disloyal and rebel activities. So, they were basically people who just, investigated and punished a bunch of groups that were like rebelling or planning to overthrow the United States government, something like that. The committee was run by private citizens, public employees, and organizations. So mostly kind of like your everyday people, almost everyday people. They weren't necessarily, but they weren't super famous people. Blacklisting is putting someone's name onto a certain list that prevents a person from getting jobs, going certain places, or even doing certain things. Like, literally what they'll be able to do as of, like, their life kind of thing. So basically, just control their life completely. So, some people on the Hollywood blacklist, or there was actually a pretty famous group of people known as the Hollywood 10. Were 10 famous actors who were blacklisted because of McCarthyism and the communist witch trials. Well, I'll name some of them. I'm not going to name all of them, but I'll name like a few of them. Which is those being Alva Bessie, Herbert J. Biberman, Ring Lardner Jr., and Lester Cole. These people, of course, like I just stated, were part of the Hollywood 10. They were blacklisted from Hollywood, meaning they couldn't act. They couldn't go write or act for Hollywood movies or really, those kinds of things. So yeah, overall, McCarthyism is basically what ended up starting Arthur Miller's idea of the Crucible, as it was kind of like a witch hunt, just gathering up innocent people based off of just random things and just rumors. Basically just because. It was really for just cause, no actual proper reasoning. So that is just literally what it is. And it affects the book by allowing, it allowed Arthur Miller to, realize that the Salem witch trials are basically the same thing. Just, nobody was getting murdered. People weren't being hanged from trees or gallows because, why not? Because people weren't that crazy or communists, surprisingly. But yeah, that's just unk stuff. Thank God we don't live in that time period. Thank God it's 2024. But also, hey man, that's how it was back in the day. Anyways, this is for my English class. All of the sources and the links, they will be in the description of the video. So this is Brown. If you want to go look at that, they're in the description. You don't got to worry about that. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed. If you want, my socials will be on the screen. Go follow my IG. Go sub to my YouTube channel. And I don't really use TikTok, but here's my TikTok if you want it. I'm not even going to really, I don't care if you follow me, but again, I don't use TikTok like that. Anyways, though, have a great, amazing day, afternoon, evening, night, whenever you're watching this video.